All right, everyone. Katie Hill has decided to resign. It was funny because a lot of people didn't realize that she had. Because I guess primarily she put it out on Twitter, and then the press got a hold of it hours later. Katie Hill has been embattled for weeks now. What happened is she was having an affair with one of her staffers. I think she was fucking around behind their back too, like screwing multiple people, having like three ways. She was smoking weed. I guess there's a picture of her smoking out of a bong. Among other things, she apparently has a drinking issue, and it started to impact her ability to actually do her work. That alone is like the only real damning thing, though, here. I mean, having an affair is bad. I'm not so sure that under the particular context, though, like, I mean, the only reason the public knew about this, the only reason this became a public thing, is because I guess her husband or ex-husband released nude photos of her, like she was naked doing a staff member's hair, naked smoking a bong, naked doing other things. Is funny because, I mean, some people on the left tried to say she was a Nazi and this is why she did bad things, because she had, like, the Iron Cross tattoo, I guess, on her leg, and then people realized, well, there are a million companies that use that in their logos. That's sort of like if somebody had Heil tattooed on their leg, assuming they're a Nazi. You know, it's also on every other truck mud flap that you've ever seen in the United States. I'm not even, by the way, if that's a company or if that's something else. It's just everywhere, and it's amusing to me. Anyway, the fact that she's on the younger and semi-attractive side, I think, endeared her to people who otherwise would have had more of a problem with it. Like, if you got, let's put it this way. If you got photographs of Hillary Clinton smoking a bong naked, or being, her big flaccid tits hanging out, and her doing a staffer's hair, oh, Hillary Clinton getting up to it with Huma or something, probably the optics would be a little bit different. By the way, I haven't seen uncensored versions of these. I guess the husband went through and blanked out the nipples and vagina or something. Anyway, much to the dismay of, by the way, half of 4chan. But, I mean, looking at it this way, Katie Hill has come out and the Democrats saying, well, this is revenge porn, so evil far-right misogynistic creeps are the ones causing her to have to resign. Shame on them. No, it's not. It's people expect politicians to be held to a higher standard. Now, do I care if she smokes weed? No. By the way, in D.C., where she's actually working, it's legal. Do I care if she's drinking? No. If a person is, I don't care if a person's a total alcoholic as long as they're a functional alcoholic. We've had alcoholic presidents, we've had alcoholic SCOTUS justices, we've sure as hell had a hell of a lot of alcoholics within the Senate and the U.S. House. That's not really a problem. Do I care if they screw around on the side? A little bit, but I'm no moralist, and to tell the truth, if you think that the number of people in Congress is in anywhere near just in the single digits of people having active affairs even right now. Probably one of them is in bed with a total stranger as we fucking speak at this very moment, high as balls on cocaine. It gets to the point where I realize that sort of behavior shouldn't be normalized. It shouldn't be applauded. It's excessive and wrong, and the taxpayers funding these people by and large don't want them doing these things. But is it that abnormal? Is the difference fundamentally that Katie Hill as a younger individual has a more tech-literate surroundings and therefore someone who had pictures of this and just chose to release them to the public in order to destroy her career? Yeah, this isn't the sort of thing that tended to happen maybe back in the nifty 50s or something. People tended not to take too many Polaroids of themselves naked. They sure as hell didn't make sure that they were able to be shared around once the internet was developed, and the concept of the scanner, the concept of social media, Twitter, and these things, a little bit more careful. This, by the way, I'm going to weigh in. This may sound conspiratorial, but it matters, and people need to keep this in mind. All of the new crop of politicians currently running for office around the world have social media, and a lot of them have probably sent naked pictures of themselves to other people. There are going to be a lot more scandals related to this in the future. Do not be surprised if, as a result of this, you see a cultural paradigm shift, especially among leftists, to normalize and say, well, it doesn't even really matter. Okay, this person has a bunch of nude pictures out there of them drinking piss or whatever, but that's just sort of the way things are. Don't be surprised if that happens, if only out of sheer necessity, because it's going to be increasingly hard, especially among non-moralistic people, to find people who haven't done those sorts of things. Yeah, you get some crazy churchgoer fanatic who doesn't believe in even touching their own wang until marriage. Yeah, there's probably not any nude photos of them, if they're being genuine, by the way, about their religion. It'll be interesting over the next 20 years to see which moralistic religious nuts actually take it seriously. Be funny because they can always claim plausible deniability as well. I was a sinner back then, but I'm not anymore. No, Katie Hill, I mean, she's not butt ugly, and, you know, it is technically revenge porn. It's not really related to her ability to politic. The only thing that relates to her ability to get her job done is the fact that supposedly she's so high and drunk all the time she's having problems attending meetings and doing what she needs to do that the taxpayers are funding. What she does in bed, maybe I care relatively a little bit less, but let's not be hypocrites. A lot of people in the House and Senate do this. Democrats, mostly. Republicans, they all get up to these sorts of things. What do you think Pelosi does on the weekend? She has coke-fueled $1 million parties where a glass of Chardonnay costs more than your house. It happens all the time. Remember when Boehner openly said, well, I remember when I called the floor vote, what was it, on repealing Obamacare the first time, and the smell of booze was overwhelming. I calculate 2/3 of the people there was drunk. Yeah, probably were, or was it the budget extension for the 5th time? And these people, they booze it up. They've all got whiskey under their desks and coke in their desks and shit like that. Half of them hire hookers. You look at some of the biggest moralists in this nation. Ted Hager, big anti-drug, anti-sex before marriage figure of, I think, the late 80s. Turns out upon investigation he had like an 18-year-old male prostitute he was smoking meth and crack with before having massive 12-hour-long sex binges. He claims to be reformed now. No more crack for him. He takes it easy. Now he just moves to California and smokes weed, but it's God's herb, so it's okay. And these people are nuts. Katie Hill, this particular freshman congresswoman, if I had been her, I wouldn't have bothered resigning. I would have said, yeah, I smoke weed, I get drunk, I fuck around. Okay. I mean, she's in her mid-30s, so it's, again, and I hate to say there's a double standard, but if it was Kamala Harris, come on, it'd be a little bit different now, wouldn't it? People's intrigue gets piqued a little bit more, I think, with somebody like Katie Hill than for, I don't know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg's sex party. Can you imagine if actually she was getting up to that stuff? She's always proclaiming, increasingly rarely when she's publicly available for statement, oh yeah, I still do my workout routine. I run 5 miles a fucking day, dude. Even though she's approaching, I believe, 90 years old at this point. It'd be funny, actually, if she were still active in other ways. And she's like, fuck it, because she's so old, she doesn't care anymore. And she's like, oh, this'll outsell Paris Hilton's sex tape any day. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. And it'd be wonderful. I think, by the way, a lot of people would be blind afterwards, but it'd be amusing. I know, this is an off-the-rails video, but come on. She had an affair, like, okay, so half of Congress. She's a drunk, okay, like half of Congress. She smoked weed, probably more rare but less harmful. I don't know that anyone really cares. A lot of the people getting moralistic about it, I think, are being inauthentic. They probably do similar things. They probably smoke weed, half of these people. I think if they're that demented, probably they're the ones that are most likely to be on drugs. That's about all. Peace out.